when I first got involved with Sales Center, actually not when I first got involved, but shortly after I was already upstairs in the office, John Albanese came over to my place and he was getting adjusted, and he said, you sure you want to get involved with us, with this group? Like, he said, Pasquale and Brian are very Spartan. And I kind of knew what he meant, and I was just thinking about that today, because Brian sent out an email. He says, you come down here, you discover yourself, and you got paid the price, and sometimes it's painful getting rid of the debris to make yourself better. And just recently I realized how, I was shirking away from some responsibilities, and I realized I was kind of afraid to confront some ugliness in the world, and how I just had to step up and toughen up and confront this stuff. And then in my practice, for a long time, just dealing with people, I didn't feel like I could deliver the goods. I couldn't take care of them right. But now it's been like 20 years I've been a chiropractor, so I think I know what I need to do on the table. But it's Pasquale talked about when people came into you, you give them food, they take that food in, they heal themselves. But he says you gotta get rid of those mental hindrances, and that is really what wears on me with people. Some of their notions about their tendons and syndromes they have, and wanting to talk about all this nuttiness, and it wears me out. But that's kind of the next work I have to do, is kind of getting people, as best I can, at least I'm presenting myself or presenting chiropractic in the best fashion possible for them to kind of get on board with what's going on. I have some information, but I'm working on just making it neater. And again, probably most of it's just for myself to feel comfortable with what I'm doing. But that's kind of where I'm at, and just how you have to be tough. And I guess, nobody's got it easy in the world, but you just gotta do it. There's no really way around it. Brian always says, if you don't let what's inside you kind of come out, it's gonna kind of eat you up inside. Maybe Brian can say it better later. And that is certainly the case. Anyway, that's all I have to share about.
Anyone like to ask Fernando anything? Anyone? Bill?
Why is the nuttiness, you made the comment that nuttiness is wearing you out. What makes you feel, or what makes you think that it's the nuttiness that's wearing you out?
Because I feel like I can serve the people, but they're all mental hindrances of what should be happening, of just coming back and saying, and we've all been through this, this still hurts, that still hurts. And you gave an example of how you dealt with some people, and that's what I have been doing for the last few months, and it was not a practice builder, that's for sure, where I was just not going to deal with this insanity. I know this guy came in, he said, you're not going to take an x-ray? I said, I'm not going to take an x-ray. Actually, you should go get an x-ray. And he said, but I already paid. I said, I know, we're going to give you your money back. Go get your x-ray, because I think that's what you want right now, that's what you need. And I could have dealt with that a lot better. And there were many instances like that. And maybe that's what that person needed at the time, but I have to just take it, because it is frustrating. I have to take that kind of stuff and just go with it. But I would like to have something to point them in the right direction. And sometimes I don't have time to tell them. As I had time the other day to Lily, I said, that's just a picture of you. She wanted her husband to go get an MRI. I said, he can go get an MRI, and that'll give us some information. I said, but I have the living person right here. And what I'm going to see, no MRI is going to be able to tell what's happening in this live body. But sometimes I don't have time to explain that. It doesn't come out right. Anyway, I just like to have that somewhere to point people with. If they want it, they can get the information. Because many people feel rushed, because they do have all this debris in their minds that doesn't let them just get on the table. I think we all would just like to go. And sometimes, I did that to get on the table, I took care of her, and then she got up and she said, well, I felt rushed, and I had these MRI. I said, she came in and she started talking to me. I said, well, what happened? She's like, well, 20 years ago, I said, just get on the table. I was like, I was like, if we're gonna go back to 20 years ago, we're gonna be here all day, you know? I'm sorry. But I could have been more patient with her, you know? I just, whatever.
That's your 2 minutes, Fernando.
Okay.
Excellent. What's that?
Raising his hand.
Say it again. Steve, you want to speak? Go ahead.
I think so. I'll get over my phobia of speaking on digital. Thank you, Fernando, for sharing that experience. I can relate. My question is it
Oh, Fernando.
Can you hear me?
No,
Keep the volume up on the TV, yeah.
no, it's not the TV. It went off. Hang on.
Not hearing me.
Where's the?
You had it.
Yeah.
You had it. You were raising the volume.
Nancy, you want to translate for me? Can you?
No, the problem is this. It's driving me crazy. Hang on. I know what to do now. I know what to do.
Wait, deixa me. Okay.
Hang on. Wait, I gotta go to menu. Mira, I gotta go here. No, I gotta take it to here. So we gotta go up.
It's all right.
Steve, speak now.
Hello, hello.
There we go. I'm a computer genius. Thank you. Go ahead, Steve. Now we hear you perfectly fine.
Yes.
No, what?
All right, go ahead. Ask Fernando what you wanted to ask him.
Back.
Oh,
I don't hear you now.
Oh, you don't hear us? Okay.
Nothing.
1 second. The computer genius is back
I
at it.
didn't mute
You
it.
gotta hit mute.
Unmute.
Unmute.
Now you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you
All
now.
right,
Can
Steve.
you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
now you ask Fernando.
All right. I'm sitting in my yard. I have a helicopter going. We can hear each other, right?
Good. Yes.
Okay, so start the time now, Chief. Mamma mia. Fernando, thank you for sharing. I can relate to these frustrations of daily practice. My question, though, is it okay to still love someone enough, even if all their ideology and all their mitzvahs, all their history and complaints is annoying, but it's important? Is it okay to still love them and give them chiropractic? You know, do I have to agree with everyone? That's my question.
No,
To give them
forget
chiropractic.
about it.
I
Yeah.
have to fit my standards to
No.
get chiropractic.
Because even amongst us chiropractors, we don't agree on everything. So you have to get beyond that stuff. But when there's those mental hindrances, it does keep them back from healing or taking in what they need to take in. And that's just the point I was making of trying to somehow make it a little bit easier for the people to get on board, so they're not so confused of going, this should work instantly, or the x-ray says I'm fine, so what are you telling me I'm not good, you know, even though they have pain. So just that. Yeah.
All right, Fernando.
I get it.
I'm getting out of here.
All right. Anyone else want to come up? The floor is open. Rebecca.
Hello. So at first I wasn't sure what I was going to say, and then you just opened up where my mind has been the last few weeks of having really great interactions with people. And when I say great, I am grateful to be a chiropractor and for every person that comes through the door. I truly am. At the same time, there are some people who walk through the door and they lie down on the table and they get it. Or there's this woman who just had shingles. She's got tingling and numbness all over the side of her face, and she just gets it. And she's been getting worse, and she's still showing up and still lies on the table because she knows it's going to take time. And then you have that guy who's had the MRI, he's had the x-ray, they told him you could do surgery or you can do the hard work, which in my opinion, surgery is still hard work because we know that there just isn't technology out there that makes you have to not do the work. It's that, you know, when Elon Musk invents it, we'll know it's there, and I still have a feeling that even if they can give you a new spine, you still have to do work. There's nothing that's gonna replace up here for you except you. And so when somebody comes in and they say to you that they have 2 hours a day that they can meditate, but they can't find 30 minutes to do exercises and, you know, come in for their adjustments consistently, it's very frustrating. And I didn't lose it on someone the other day, but I came very close to just saying lie down. Just lie down and let chiropractic do what chiropractic does. And he says, I get better, but then the pain comes back. And I just say, focus on the long term. Because, you know, then I have a young gal that comes in and she says to me, I don't want to keep getting adjusted because I would like to keep healing. I said, so why not keep getting adjusted so you can continue to heal with more ease? It's like people think that we're just going to get better and never have pain again, but pain is so important because it really helps us value the adjustment, and it helps us value exercise and meditation and connection and love with our loved ones. It's why I get in the car every day to drive, or every Saturday morning. I get up and my patients say, do you get adjusted? I say, I drive 45 minutes to go wait for my mentor, who in my opinion is one of the greatest chiropractors out there. And I wait with people who are waiting as well, and they're connecting and they're talking, and I'm like, that's the reminder. So I think it's the encounter with the person who lies down and gets it that you get to go, okay, we can help people. I still think it's hard though. It's hard to, but it's a good challenge. It's a good challenge to get to show people love. So.
Anyone want to ask Rebecca anything? Andrew.
What was the metaphor that you used?
Oh, I said that it just came to me when I was adjusting somebody, this guy who tingling and numbness whole left side of his body. And finally, after 7 visits, he doesn't have tingling and numbness anymore. And I really, like, all I could say is chiropractic. But I said to him, we didn't know if we were going to get a win, just like any athlete. Like LeBron James doesn't know that he's going to win, but he practices very hard and stays disciplined so he can achieve the win. So that's how we have to treat our bodies, is as if we're going for a win, but just because you get a win doesn't mean you stop. I mean, how many championships do you get? You still keep playing and still keep caring for your body so you can perform well.
Anyone else want to ask Rebecca anything?
Nancy.
Nancy Brown.
Yeah, hi Rebecca, good to see you. What is one more good thing you could do for yourself as a chiropractor?
Probably give myself more grace, that I don't think I was as harsh to some people as I am, because I think that I'm truly showing up to the best of my ability for all people that I encounter. So probably not be so hard on myself.
Anyone else want to ask Rebecca anything? Joanne.
Hi. So at what point does the adjustment begin and what point does it end?
I think the adjustment begins as soon as the person like walks into the space, and it's carried with them for the rest of their lives. I used to think that it was one adjustment can't make a difference, and I completely now take that back. I think the adjustment, it stays with people for life.
Okay, Rebecca, that's excellent. All right, the floor is open. Whoever would like to come up. Anyone? I'll say something then. Brian Patrick, Corrigan chiropractor, Jersey City, New Jersey. Well, the quote Fernando was saying is from the Gospel of Thomas, which is from the Gnostic Gospels. And it's it just goes, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. And as far as what Rebecca and Fernando were saying about dealing with people, the one thing I learned a long time was I just let people be who they are. If they want to talk about those x-rays, I just say, okay, and I listen. And if some are demand they want one, then they can go get one. And they leave, and I don't say anything. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. And some don't do it, and they get better, and they're fine, and they're happy. Like I said, I let the people be who they are. You know, we sent out a message from Self Center the other day, and really the main point of that was, that just came to me, and I heard, like, I think, well, for me, we have spiritual guides, and they told me how, they gave it to me to write and to send it out. And it's just really about when you're on this journey, and sometimes it gets uncomfortable, and things happen, just really allow yourself to go through it. And the point about Self-Center was, we really have nothing to sell you. You just come down here and you share, and you take what you want from it, and then you go on your way. There's no sales tactics, there's no pressures, and I think that's, in this world today, a pretty rare thing, what we have out there, and that's one of the beautiful things about this place. We don't come down here and tell you how to run your office if you're a chiropractor or anything. We just say what we say, and then we go home. And those who are on that, they come down here. And I don't really, the few young chiropractors I come across, all they do is talk about like branding themselves, like all these terms that, you know, and all these things. I'm like, I don't say anything, I just listen. I'm like, well, what about making yourself better to serve people? Because that's what's going to bring people in. And that's really what Self-Center is about. Pasquale, he just served and served. Stanley Alpert, we all knew him. He worked 7 days a week, and he told me, Brian, that's how we all did it. But those two, Pasquale and Stanley, you don't have to do what we did. You don't have to be that workhorse like we were. And it's fun being a chiropractor. Just enjoy the people. I deal with a lot of people who've been thrown in the junk pile of life no one wants to deal with. And I just look at them, I love them exactly how they are. And then one lady comes in, she goes, you know, when I come here, I don't feel ashamed. You never shame me or make me feel bad about anything. You're just nice to me. And I was rather surprised by it. She's like, believe me, Brian, no one was nice to me, she told me. And I said, well, if you come here, I'm always going to be nice to you. So that's it. Anyone want to ask me anything?
Do you feel like hearing the patient and listening to them is part of your care?
Yes, but most people, they see how I do things, they don't have much to tell me. Most people I deal with, it's hard for me to get anything out of them. Talking, to be quite honest. I guess maybe they just sense it and they don't, most people come in and don't really want to talk to me that much.
Do you ever feel like a pressure of like knowing that, okay, you're in a flow and you know, you have people that are waiting. So if someone is talking to you, how do you navigate that so you still have...
I mean, it depends on the issue. Like there's one young man, he got into a car accident a couple of years ago, he's in a wheelchair and he can't walk. But I know this kid can improve because he just got twisted up and they haven't done anything to help him in these rehabs. And so I need more time to have to explain things, and his mom's there, so I have to tell her because she has to help him. So I like to show her things, but I don't think about it. If that happens, it happens.
Right.
I don't feel the pressure.
Okay.
And if someone doesn't like it, then people can always leave. I'm not going to chase after someone.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to ask me anything?
Nancy Brown.
Nancy Brown.
Yeah, do you feel you need to explain chiropractic to new patients?
No, I don't say anything. I just deliver what comes to me, and they just seem to understand I need to come back, and I need to come back for more. Some people find me, well, I don't want to come back. I said, I don't. I said, but I've been doing this for this amount of years. My suggestion is, I'm asking, what are you looking for? And they tell me, I said, why don't you come back? And as you come back, you and I can talk about these things a little bit more each time. Because a lot of people think they're getting ripped off nowadays. You're out. You know, they think everyone's out to hustle them. I said, I'm not like that. So you come in whenever you like. And a lot of those people come back and they stick with it. It's gotten to be now a small percentage that don't come back. So that's my 3, so I'm done. But the flow is open. And by the way, I'm no longer tough, I'm a sweetie pie. Jackie! So who would like to come up? Jackie, say hi. Look at him looking around, he sees everything. All right, who would like to come up? Alex. We're gonna take a walk.
Hey everybody, Alex Wilkowitz, chiropractor in Pennsylvania. To go on what Brian just said about people, you know, having that feeling that they should come back for more, that's how I feel coming here. At times getting here is really a little challenging. It's funny how, like today, I left and I met up with Brian and Sura and Jack, and it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Of course, it ended up being 3 hours, and then it took us, about an hour to get in? Or more. And it's so worthwhile. Every time I come, I feel like I get more and more. It's almost like this is just such a magnetic place and it brings you back. I had a dream the other day, and I have an issue at times with talking too much with people and not having that natural flow to get them on the table. So I had this dream where it was just, get them on the table and let your hands do the talking. And so I've been doing that more, just focusing on trying to get people down on their stomach, and everything else will take care of itself once I get them down. And I feel like it's very simple, but for me it can be kind of complicated. But if I follow that rule, this week went so much smoother, especially on Monday and today. That's it.
All right. Would anyone like to ask Alex anything? Jack, you give me an assistant. Anyone? Phil.
Why do you feel the need that you have to talk to you people?
I don't feel the need, I just have a tendency to. And that's something I guess would be valuable for me to work on.
Anyone else want to ask Alex anything?
Get rid of that diarrhea of the mouth.
Anyone? Anyone? One more time. All right, let's clap for Alex. All right, the floor is open. Whoever would like to come up. Look, Jack, here's your friend Nancy. Go run.
Nancy's gonna talk.
Go ahead, Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, hi, everybody. Well, I'm one of those people who likes to see the tests. I like to see the MRIs. So that doesn't in any way take away from what I get from chiropractic. Never has. I also love to watch the miracles. I love to, when the doctors told me my PTH level was here and I told them, no, God is going to heal me. I come back, the numbers are normal. I love it. So, but I am going through an experience now, a metamorphosis that Pasquale spoke about many times. And it goes directly to the point where I made the decision to visit the Holy Land. So I am going to Israel on June 20th. And as soon as I made that decision, my body started dealing with debris to get me to a higher vibrational level so that I can enter into the Holy Land. And so there was one day that it was really so painful that I almost couldn't walk. And doctors have talked to me about, medical doctors talked to me about some things. And, I see a chiropractor here who's wonderful in Florida and continue to do so. And I just know inside me that this is part of releasing that debris. And the understanding that I have of Pasquale's process has deepened, and I feel close. So, just wanted to share my experience.
Anyone want to ask Nancy anything? Anyone? You like dancing? Anyone? Joanne?
Nancy,
Hey,
hi. You feel
Hi.
like your vibration is not in line with the Holy Land?
Did you hear her? Is it frozen?
Oh,
Wait, Nancy, it froze. Hang on.
I think you have me?
All right.
Okay.
Did you hear what Joanne said?
No, could she ask it again?
Go ahead, Joanne.
Do you think your vibration is different from that of the Holy Land, and why?
Yeah, I do. I think I have to be raised up a little more to be let in. Yeah.
Anyone else want to ask Nancy
I
anything?
said why, did she answer why?
And she'd like to know why, why you feel that is.
The evidence that I have of it is I've tried to go there 3 or 4 times in the last 25 years, and every time I tried, I was blocked. And now the door is open, and my physical body is trying to catch up with it. The Holy Land is a huge portal of love and God's energy, so you don't just go there on a physical level.
Would anyone else like to ask Nancy anything? All right, let's clap for Nancy. All right, the floor is open for whoever would like to come up.
I don't know, can you see me?
Yeah, Steve, yes. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, just before I start, the video is very staccato, but can you hear my voice fluently?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, the video's coming across weird, but, all right, my name's Steven, and I'm a chiropractor, and I've been knowing Pasquale since the early 30s, since the early 1980s, the early 80s. I'm glad I'm listening today to all this about practicing and in practice, and the way, having come from the richness of the philosophy that I got from Pasquale and the self-center of raising the vibration and healing, it's just the deep stuff that made me hold myself to be a chiropractor, licensed in the States and all that, you know. In everyday practice, I work with seniors for the last 10 years, and at these years, you know, and there's complaints and people hurt. It's okay for me to address their pain. For me, just for me. And I feel like, and I look at Pasquale's picture on the wall, I feel like it's okay, like I'm Clark Kent. This is how I picture it. I'm Clark Kent, and I hold this message that pulled me to serve chiropractic to people. But I'm going in as Clark Kent and self-centering me as a Superman, which they don't need to know always. And they don't need to, you know, and I have to listen to their complaints and to this and that, you know, it's important. Especially when they're 78, 89. I had this 86-year-old woman and so arcing, and I care not to twist her the wrong way. You know, I have to be cognizant. So as I'm adjusting people, and I'm going deep and getting my chit-chatty brain out of the way, and I let the higher power in to help me with the adjustment, and I just let it happen. And they're still chit-chatting, my husband this, my husband that, and at the end I have to come back in, and the best thing that I can share is I'm stealing it from Pasquale here, and I know you guys know it at Self-Center, to finish the adjustment and say, that ought to make you feel better. Oh, okay, that's great. That ought to make you feel better. Signifies we're done. We got to get out of the room and make an appointment. And that's how I deal with it. That's how I deal with, you know, yes, I have to listen to everyone's MRI or this or their blood work, but I somehow hold the message. I still hold the message there regardless, and that's important to me. Do I have another minute?
Yes, yes.
All right. Given that, a couple of years ago, after I got done taking care of my mom, and, which was deep for a couple of years, Pasquale, am I share this when I first came back to these meetings? Pasquale came to me in a dream, and it was real. And I don't want to waste the time to get into the whole thing, how he appeared to me out of this dream, and it was, you know, at a convention somewhere, and then we ended up in a room, and Pasquale loves me so much that he yelled at me from the other side. Pasquale would yell. And he yelled at me. He was accusing me of leaving him behind. He said, you left me behind, because I hadn't been around Self-Center. That's literally all he said to me when he came into focus. You left me behind. I was like, holy shit, Pasquale's yelling at me from the other side. And I have not. I just am here to say I've not. And at least I'm using how he taught me how to adjust, and this phrase that ought to make you feel better. And I look at this picture every day. Thank you for still being here, self-centered.
All right, anyone like to ask Steve
Maybe you won't
anything?
yell at me next time.
Anyone want to ask
There you go.
Steve Ostapinsky anything?
Okay, here.
Anyone?
No.
We got one more time. All right, Steve, that's it. Thank you. Clap for Steve.
Thank you.
All right, the floor is open for whoever would like to speak. Just have the people left here. Well, Sura's going to go up later, so we got Phil or Andrew. You don't have to, but it's nice if you're here. Come on up, Phil. You gave him the opportunity. You were a gentleman.
I gave him the opportunity.
Right.
Hello, how are you? Phil Chemay, chiropractor, ubiquitous. 50 years ago, there was this priest that was extremely dry. I'll put it nicely. Put me to sleep every time. And I'll never forget, it's amazing, like I told you before. Everything you say, I'll remember. It might not register right away. But 50 years later, it registered. And all his homilies were about home. God put you, very droll.
Yeah.
God put you here to do his work. Then he wants you to come home. You have to go home. And that's all he ever said. Every time I heard this priest talk. Talked about home. And then I thought about it, and 50 years later it dawns on me. In the Eastern tradition, they say that the primordial sound that the divine created was Om. Quantum physics tells us that these fields, these vibrational fields, get excited, and out comes a particle, not like a billiard ball, but a particle that it's called a vibrational frequency that we interpret as material, something what we call matter. And what happens is these vibrations correspond to actual musical notes. So every single particle, everything you see is frozen music, according to the quantum physicist. John chapter 1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word. And the Word was Om, all these vibrational frequencies. And as they vibrate, they manifest what we call matter. So now think about this for a moment. Every adjustment you give, you're changing the vibrational frequency or the Word of God. How do you like that? You're actually telling God what to say. I don't want this person suffering. The person stops suffering through the adjustment. So, who's creating this? All of us. And so, through those adjustments, guess what we're doing? We're allowing the person to go home, to their home, to their frequency. Pat used to call it their key tone. So, wait a minute. If every adjustment is allowing me to go back home, my question is, what makes me think I left? So where the heck am I? I'm actually home. So why do I think I need to go home? As this priest used to tell me, gotta go home. Then I figured it out. Explain this another time.
Anyone want to ask Phil anything? I'd like to ask you something, Phil. Do you serve God, or does God serve you?
I serve God.
All right.
That's a big topic, yeah.
I know, I just want to get you going. Anyone else like to ask Phil anything? Anyone? One more time, folks. All right, Phil, cross.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, guys. Andrew, can you come up and say anything? You don't have to. If not, we're going to bring Sura up.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Like I said, we don't pressure me. I'm going to grab this little guy.
I just need to kiss
Wait, let me introduce her. So tonight's featured speaker will be Sura.
Oh,
And I'm grabbing the little guy.
I just have to get one thing. Are you gonna play along?
Oh yeah, she's gonna. Oh, you want the car? Alright, you get the car. Where is it?
Right in the middle.
Sorry, Jack. I thought you had it. Alright, now it's out.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Sura, chiropractor in Jersey City, and it's an honor to speak at Self Center. Thank you very much to Brian and everybody that's here today, and of course it's an honor to be here in Pasquale's house. Today I would like to talk about the new world that is being born and chiropractic's role in that. To start with that, I'd like to show you a video. And it's a very special video because it's our only video that we have of Alita, which was Pasquale's wife. And it's actually at their wedding celebration. They got married the day before, and it was like a weekend-long celebration. There were many chiropractors there. And what she's saying is important, but even more important, that is the joy, the vibration of joy that comes through. So I'd like to share that. And I'm going to do my best to share it with you guys with the share screen. So give me a second. So were you able to hear her words?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, so that's Alita, very, very special woman. I never met her, but I just hear wonderful things about her, that she had such a high vibration of love, and she was a very powerful chiropractor. I'm sure she still is, wherever she is now. What she read, that verse she read at the end, it comes from Isaiah 61. So I wanted to understand it a little more. So Isaiah, the first thing is Isaiah's a book of prophecy. So they're giving prophecy, okay? And Isaiah 61, the title of it is The Lord's Anointed. So I want you to imagine, because I think this is what they meant. I think this is what Pasquale and Lita meant, that all of you are the Lord's anointed one. And to be anointed means there's a ceremony where they use oil to signify that you are not only chosen by God to be a messenger, but now the power of God works through you. So the Lord's anointed. So the beginning of it starts, this is the part she doesn't read, is the Lord is upon me, the power of God is within me. And there's so many jobs for me to do. The Lord is going to send me to the people that are grief-stricken. The Lord is going to send me to the people that are heartbroken. I'm going to spread the good word. And it just keeps listing all these jobs that you're going to do as the Lord's anointed one. Now, because of those good deeds, the people are going to start repairing generations of wasted cities. And the day is going to come where this new world is born. They call it the Lord's Year, but for me, I take it as this new world where love is the bottom line, where they're not poisoning our food and our children. It's just a sane world. You know, sometimes it feels like everything is upside down now. What's right, they say is wrong. And what's wrong, they say is right. So in this world that's being born, it's like what's right is right. It's a very loving place. So now Alita starts to share her verse, and she starts the first paragraph. The picture is of a bride on her wedding day putting earrings on, and a groom putting his cufflinks on, getting his tie ready. And they're filled with so much joy because this day has finally come. And what the verse says is the earrings and the cufflinks are really the blessings of God. And the actual blessings are salvation, and it's a garment of salvation and a robe of righteousness. And salvation means to save and to be protected. So whatever really that means to you, to me it means you're kind of saved from the insane world. It's like you've been saved. And the robe of righteousness is like a moral right. And if you actually look up the Latin word, it means straight, which I just thought of true north, like being really connected to your God self. That straight line. So can you picture the joy that, you didn't, I know the day I got married, I was so happy to marry Brian. And I also, Nancy's told me a zillion times, you never thought you were going to get married, sir. And I was like, I really didn't think I would get married. It was like that feeling, like we never thought this day would come, and here we are, we're at this moment. And then the next verse goes, for as the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causes the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Lord God will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations. And what this means to me is all the good works have planted seeds, and it's already been done that this garden is flourishing, this new world is born. So I just love this, and I listened to it a lot of times, and I actually felt the joy of this. Like really like in me, like coming in me. And I was like, wow, to tell you the truth, I don't feel that a lot. Like it feels like, is anything I'm doing really helping? You know, beyond, you know, of course there are, I'm just sharing some frustrations I have is, of course, you know, oh, someone came in and now they feel better, or there's stories where, you know, he didn't walk and now he can walk, but I'm talking beyond that, like, is this world getting better? Is this really, you know, and then, and reading this Isaiah 61 and watching that video, it's like, it's already been done, this new world is coming, and let me feel that joy and continue to do the work I came here to do. One of the other messages I received is that now there's going to be a lot more oracles on the planet versus mediums. And what's the difference between an oracle and a medium? Now, and I'll give you an example. There was a woman who had tremendous power when she was working on people. But when I got to know her, it was like her life wasn't in line with who she was when she was like working on people. So I knew she could channel something great, but she wasn't a match yet, from my seeing. But an oracle is an actual experience where what you're channeling, you have to be it. And it's a real process, you have to be through your body. It's embodiment of it. And it's a lot of, I think, what Nancy was talking about, going through these cycles of purification and acceleration. And it's not an easy process. And I really believe as the Lord's anointed, or doing all the good work that all of us here are doing, is we are going through this process on a very physical level, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And it's very powerful for the world when people are aligned with what they're channeling. It brings a greater light. And one thing for me, lately at least, you know, it's nice being with Brian because we go through it together now, you know, and I see, oh, he's going through it, I'm going through it. With me, it's often my neck. And I said to Brian, I was like, why is it always my neck? And Brian said, well, that's the bridge between heaven and earth. And I remember once I was having issues with my hip, and I had a dream where a chiropractor, a very powerful chiropractor I had when I was in chiropractic school, came and adjusted me. And it was like a real dream, you know, it wasn't just a dream, it was like, whoa, I really got adjusted. And as soon as he adjusted me, he either told me or the understanding immediately came to me that my hip was posterior, meaning moved backwards, because I was stuck in the past. And him adjusting me put me in present time. So when I woke up, I was like, oh, sometimes I see people's hips are forward, that must mean they're in the future, and maybe that brings it in present time. And then my mind went again, but what if there's no such thing as time? And I'm like, I have no idea, but it was interesting. Another thing I was thinking about, I was like, what about when people like have skin stuff and they're going through something? And I thought the image that came to me was like a snake. Have you ever seen a snake when they shed their skin? I was like, that person's going through a very deep transformation. So those are just some things I really like to think about when people are having symptoms, or when I am going through my own purification or acceleration. Now, another medium that my sister follows, so I don't know if this is true, but this is what he said. He said this new world is being born right now, but it's going to take 4 generations. So I don't know if that's true, but if that is true, it would be Jack's grandchildren that would have that world. And, you know, it's like, will we see it? Will we see it? I mean, if we're eternal, of course we will. We'll be the bride and the groom, enjoy knowing our work made a difference. But that feels close enough, like, oh, if Jack's grandchildren could have that because of what we're doing, that's amazing. Let's see. So now, this is a book that Alita put together. It's an actual original book. This isn't a copy, and it's a bunch of quotes that she really likes. And I feel it kind of sums up what was important to her in chiropractic. And I think most of you have a copy, but if not, I'm happy to email you a copy of this. And most of it, I'll give you the gist of it, what she found important. Chiropractic is founded on tone, which she mentioned a few times in that video, which kind of made me think of what you were talking about, Phil, with the musical notes, the tone. She says it's very important, the science and art and philosophy, that a lot of chiropractors didn't know the why. Like, why are they doing it? Why is it? It's for the evolution of humankind. And I know she would tell Brian knew her, like a lot of these chiropractors, they have no clue. They just have no clue that it really has a bigger mission. Another thing was, because the world is so upside down, often like a chiropractor isn't recognized for what they're really doing, so they're not well respected. This is a very general term. If you're in Brian's world, he's very respected. People know who he is, but I'm speaking very generally. It's not like you're a celebrity that just won an Oscar. That's very respected in our world, but very general term. But I think sometimes people say chiropractic physician to be to try to gain respect in this world. But she has a few quotes in there saying, how could you say that? They cancel each other out. They're total opposites. The chiropractic physician is doing something physical, and the chiropractor is doing something physical, mental, and spiritual, and really about uniting man, the physical, and woman, the physical, with the spiritual as well. And recently I took a spiritual healing class from the Mayan tradition, the indigenous Mayan tradition. And I did it really for, it's so you learn how to do spiritual healing in that way for other people with water and flowers and plants and prayers. And I really did it for my own self, for my own healing. But the interesting thing I thought about in this class is they teach you 13 different ailments, spiritual ailments that people have and how to help them. And they come with how they present, the symptoms. It's like we learned this in chiropractic school, but it was for shingles, It was like we never touched the spiritual. And, one of the things I knew I really needed help with, so that's really why I was there. But the others, I learned too. And I was like, oh, I can think of that person, maybe they have it, and things like that. And I'll give you a few examples. There's one called susto, which is when people have fear, but it gets trapped in the body. And one of the signs of it is they jump a lot. Like if you enter the room, they jump. It's like kind of, I guess you would say like a PTSD, Of course, everybody has fear, but this is where it gets kind of trapped in the body where they need extra help. So that's one of them. But I had an interesting experience. A week later, I didn't really think I would use what I learned in practice. But a week later, I had a woman come in and she just did a really quick small talk, but she kept talking and she kept needing to take a breath. And it was like exactly as the teacher demonstrated the spiritual ailment for grief. And just like I said before, grief is something everybody experiences, but this is where it gets trapped in the body. So immediately, as soon as she did that, even though she wasn't talking about anyone dying or anything like that, she was just doing small talk, I was like, can we pray for you? The grief, I can really hear it in your breath. And as soon as I said that, she's like, oh my God, please, I've been to the pulmonologist, I've been to the cardiologist, I've been to this, no one can say anything. She wasn't even going to tell me about any of this, So I did the prayers for her, and then I did the adjustment. When she left, come on, Jack, you want to come up here? Now I know some chiropractors would say my adjustment is my prayers, I don't need to pray. I'm just saying, maybe someone would say that, I don't need to. I just took this class, so it was like, oh, let me pray for you. And she was very receptive. But after she left, I could see how the top thoracic vertebrae were so kind of sucked in and squeezed and on top of each other and also curved, that it would take a lot of time for that, to get in there. It wasn't ready for a physical adjustment. If I had done it, nothing would have happened. It was too locked up. One of the things I told her, which they had taught in the class, is with grief, oftentimes people are so loyal to the person that passed that they don't want to let go of the grief. But to tell them they can hold on to the love forever, but they don't have to hold on to the grief. And to do a visualization with them where they can make that agreement with the person if they're ready, you know. And I explained that to her, and I said it's many layers and, you know, all of that. But I thought what I thought was the most powerful was like, wow, you know, chiropractic really does address the spiritual, and it's learning this is kind of making me appreciate how chiropractic helps people in a spiritual way more. I have to see my notes. Let's see.
It's called
Okay, and so the two other things that I'm doing now, and this is, I'm just speaking now about how I'm doing my own work to help prepare, to be the best I can do to help this new world be born. One thing I started doing recently is I started visualizing before people come in, meditating on them, and seeing how to adjust them. And I know, of course, if you're like Brian, there's no way you could do this because you don't know who's coming in that day. They don't have appointments, and it's probably too many people. But if you're in the case like me, I know who's coming in. It's not a zillion people. I can, you know, take the time. It's very interesting what I'm being shown on people. It's like I'm showing the exact, what they exactly need. Like it's like one thing that they really need. And so I was telling Brian, and it's like when they come in, it's confirmed. And he's like, well, Brian was like, well, ask how to help them. Just don't ask where it is, ask to help them. So I asked, but it's not like they show me that. What I start seeing is energy moving, and it starts to heal. So I feel like the adjustment has begun, like your question, Joanne. When does the adjustment begin? And so that's one thing I've been doing, if that's helpful. And then one other thing that I thought was very interesting is, you know how Pasquale taught a lot of you how to adjust the neck, how Brian does the neck. Well, I learned a different way to adjust the neck. But since I started dating Brian, I've been trying for 3 years to adjust his neck like that. And I get frustrated because Brian doesn't really teach me. I'm like, why don't you teach me how to do it, and then I can do it, you know? But he says you just have to feel it, and you yell at me, so I don't want to teach you, so that's okay. So anyway, 3 years, but I keep trying. 3 years, suddenly, I'm doing it. I hear Pasquale's voice in my ear, which I don't think I ever heard before in my life. Move your leg over past the pole. Like I was standing too close, and boom, it was a huge adjustment. And since then, I hear him, you know, not every time, but he'll say, it's gotta go more, it's a straight shot. Like I hear these things. And I'm like, why did it take him 3 years to tell me? Was he telling me the whole time and I couldn't hear it? Or was there something special that day? I have no idea, but it's a blessing and I'm grateful. And why I wanted to share that is because it's kind of like don't give up, and also you never know where you're going to get like a blessing, like extra help, a leg up from spirit. And let's see. It was nice today in Brian's office. There was a man who was very rough looking. He had tattoos. I probably would have been scared of him usually. But I was with Jack, and he made friends with this like old hippie looking guy who you never would think they would be friends. And the old hippie guy was like complimenting him so much, like when he was walking to the room to get adjusted. And that's kind of when I started to notice him. And then this other new woman came in, and she was like, it's my first time. She asked him, she's like, how long have you been coming to Brian? And I started hearing him tell his story. I thought he said he'd come 5 years. He had gone to the doctor. They showed him the x-ray. They suggested surgery. He was like, well, can't you just move the bone without doing the surgery? And they're like, no, we don't do that. And he found Brian, and it helped him a lot. And he said now he can even do push-ups. But more than that, after that, he started talking to this woman. It's also about what you eat. And he started talking to her about that. And then after that, he said, and I don't vaccinate. And then she said after that, she's like, you know, ever since I got the vaccine, I'm having all these symptoms. And I was just kind of noticing this man's consciousness. And he was so kind and polite with her. And after he got adjusted, he even peeked in the room to say goodbye to her. So, you know, I don't know how much of that is getting adjusted, but I was, you know, it's so much more than, you know, the back healing. You know, it's like kind of like, I always think of it like the gateway opens you up to really other ways to be a powerful, healthy, aligned, true self, God self. And in conclusion, I would say that joy in that video is very powerful, and the work we're doing is very important. And to do your best, even though we go through very hard things, all of us individually and collectively, to really invite that joy into your heart of that our mission is successful. That's it.
Anyone like to ask Sura anything? Anyone? 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 One more time, anyone?
Okay.
Joanne.
How'd you find the video? I mean, you know, you need
The video is on Self-Center. It's called Alita Prophet Wisdom. So if you go, and I can email it to you, all of you, anyone who wants to watch it.
Okay, anyone else like to ask Sura anything?
Hey, Nancy.
Nancy.
Yeah, hi, thank you so
Hi.
much for that. The joy that you're talking about, is it something that you think like you need to be conscious of when you walk in the office, like you need to like remind yourself, or like become so much part of you, you just carry it?
Probably both, I don't know. Sometimes I think I do need a little conscious, but I do think it does start becoming part of you. Like even watching that video a lot and then reading Isaiah 61, I'm like, oh my God, this has already come. Like, I do think that helps it become part of you. And whatever other ways you need to heal yourself.
Anyone else like to ask Sura anything?
Sura?
Go ahead. Mark.
Hi. Yeah, I'm in a car in Staten Island because the bridge got blocked and I didn't get
Oh
there.
man, I'm sorry.
Go
ahead.
So, but you sound so right on, and I feel your vibe through the phone, and it's just like I think it's beautiful.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you very
enjoyed
much.
what you said. I was just wanting to know how do you feel inside, feeling so clear about this now?
I think that it just made me realize I've kind of been depressed about the world. And that I feel like I have a hope ignited. Again, and I feel like when I started chiropractic, the name of my first practice was Illuminate. And the logo was an illuminated world begins with you. And I remember my first coach was like, nobody's going to get that. You can't call it that. No one's going to understand that logo. But I had that like fire. So I do think that, at least in my case, it's something that needs to be revisited after going through like, even though personally, it's a very good time for me, collectively, there's a lot of stuff happening that could bring you down, or me. I shouldn't speak for anyone else.
Anyone else want to add? You can stand back here. Anyone else want to ask Sura anything?
Yes.
Go ahead, Angel.
When you're having a tough day or like just a bad start to the day, and you go to work, and I know being the partner of Rebecca that putting your hands on people and your aura and your energy is like such a big part of your job. And say you don't start the day off right, how do you get like out of that and back in?
Yeah. Usually those days are the best days, honestly, because I feel like that's when like God really like comes in and steps in, and then you're like high when you're over. And like when you're going through the symptoms, those are the hardest days to work. you know, you're going through an acceleration, purification, whatever it is. It's like horrible to work those days. And those days I really pray. And I'm like, God, you have to do it today because I can barely like stand. Like,
So you kind of just let it go.
yeah,
with the
you
flow,
kind
like,
and some days, and that happens a lot, which is good. And then some days, for whatever reason, it's a tough day and you get through it.
Anyone else like to ask Sarah anything? Anyone?
Yes.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi.
If you stand
And
up,
I
we'll
can
see
tell
you
you did a
better.
lot of work there. Thank you for your
Thank
presentation
you.
and dissertation and bringing up the love of elites and Lolita. So my video was staccato and the voice was coming in and out. I don't know, it's my old phone. But I did get a part, I didn't get all of it. Maybe I'll look at the video. But I did write what struck me to write down. When you were talking about what if, that this new world is being born like right now. Sorry if I'm
Yes.
weird here. The new world being born right now. I've been around the metaphysical world in this lifetime for probably 40 years. I'm 60, and I met Pasquale in my young mid-20s. So Pasquale and self-centered really opened me up. My question is, there's the people who get tuned into the metaphysical and try to raise their vibration. It's been going on for at least, from my knowledge, at least since the 1800s, probably for millennia. So what if? And it could it be that if this new world being born right now, it's really just right now, like in this instant. It's not like the whole world is going to change and poverty's going away. And like in my consciousness right now, the world is changing. Like that makes more sense. I'm not challenging you. I don't even forget your name. But that's did you get a question out of that yet?
No, but I think that's great. I understand what you're saying. I would say great.
You know, it's just an interesting concept. It's the hippies and the age of Aquarius and the late 1800s. D.B. Palmer was in the metaphysical movement, and I'm just wondering that that'd be just right now in me. This split second.
All right, Stephen. I'm gonna let her answer. Go ahead.
Thank you.
I would say whatever works for you.
Anyone else want to ask Sarah anything? Anyone? Anyone?
Well, it was food for thought. So thank you.
No, yeah. And I don't know. I mean, who do I really know?
Anyone else want to ask Sarah anything? One more time? All right, we'll clap for Sarah. Thank you very much.
Good job, George.